Ui, sắp xong rồi.
Now, I would like to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you like your hometown?
Yes, absolutely. I love my hometown very much because this is not only a wonderful place for living, but also my beautiful birthplace where I can live with my parents and my siblings. Apart from that, my hometown is famous for passion fruit and grapefruit. They are not only delicious but also yummy.
Okay, I see. Is that a big city or a small place?
My hometown is a big city which is located in the center Vietnam. This place is famous for seafood and passion fruit. We often buy the fruits and seafood for souvenirs for my friends.
Okay, let me ask you something else. Did you learn about the history of your hometown at school?
Yes, absolutely. I've learned about the history at schools before, and I think that this is a really useful subject where I can learn useful information about the past that have shaped the present, and I can learn valuable past lessons from my ancestors.
All right, let me ask you another question. Are the people in your neighborhood nice and friendly?
Yes, absolutely. My neighbors are really friendly and hospitable. They often welcome foreigners to their house for meals, and they think that this is the social gesture to show hospitability to other visitors.
Right, okay. What are some changes in the area recently?
Recently, um, there has been some interesting changes. The first thing is the infrastructures. The government has invested heavily in the spas, parks, and hospitals in this area, making it a beautiful place to live in. And I love living here a lot.
Okay, here's my next question. Do you prefer to study in the mornings or in the afternoons?
I prefer living here in the afternoon, um, be, because the afternoon allows me to concentrate better in on my study. Apart from that, I love the tranquil atmosphere of the afternoon, allowing me to stay energized.
All right, moving on. Did you have any hobbies when you were a child?
Yes, absolutely. When I was a child, I had a lot of hobby. I used to go swimming in the river near my house, and I climb up high art trees in the garden. These hobbies build up the person who I am now.
Right, one more question for you. Do you have a hobby that you've had since childhood?
That hobby is playing badminton. I have been playing badminton for more than 10 years, and I'm very proud of this hobby as it allows me to become energetic and make new friends in the badminton court. Um, Apart from that, I also become healthier thanks to this sports.
All right, thank you. Now, I am going to give you a topic, and you will talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Remember to take notes. Please start speaking now.
Let me take a moment to describe a time when the electricity suddenly went off. It happened last summer. The weather was scorching hot, and I was sweaty at that time, and I needed the air conditioner to work properly. However, the electricity suddenly went off without any announcement beforehand. I was really frustrated because of the heat and the lack of power at that inappropriate moment. Anyway, during that time, I had to lie flat on the floor so that the cool floor could cool me off. However, it was useless as the temperature was really high. Anyway, at the end of that day, I had to wait for 3 hours straight to have the electric back on. And I hope that in the future, the electrician or the power producer, manufacturer, will contact us beforehand so that we could prepare an electricity generator for this situation.
Earlier, we talked about describe a time when the electricity suddenly went off. Now, I will ask you some more questions related to this topic. Do people use more electricity now than before?
People nowadays need electricity more because there has been more things that need electricity to run properly. For example, we tend to rely more on digital devices and pieces of technology such as the laptop, computers, television, air conditioners, and so on. And as a result, we need electricity in order to survive and make all of these stuff work and operate up and running.
Is it difficult for the government to replace all the petrol cars with electric cars? Is it difficult for the government to replace all the petrol cars with electric cars?
Yes, absolutely. I believe that it is quite difficult for people to replace their old habit, as using petrol car has been a tradition of most people. So replacing them with electric car will only result in dilemma in which people may resist to change. However, the government should make convenient plans in order to make people change their mind.
Okay, thank you. How did people manage to live without electricity in the ancient world?
I believe that ancient people may have their own ways to survive in the past without electricity. For example, they may go to sleep early. They may not have recreational activities in the evening. If they want to, they may have gotten a lot of candles inside their house to light up the place.
Which is better, electric cars or petrol cars?
I believe that electric car is better because they reduce the toxic emissions to the environment. Also, they can reduce people's money spent on petrol, which is the culprit behind air pollution and land pollution. Finally, using electric cars can help people save their time as it is faster than petrol car.
How do you think people can adapt to using electric cars? Did you have any hobbies when you were a child?
Yes, absolutely. When I was a child, I had a lot of hobbies. I used to go swimming in the river near my house, and I climbed high trees in the garden. These hobbies built up the person who I am now, active and outgoing. Yes, absolutely. When I was a child, I had a lot of hobbies. I used to go swimming in the river near my house, and I yes, absolutely. When I was a child, I had a lot of hobbies. I used to go swimming in the river near my house, and I climbed high trees in the garden. These hobbies allowed me to become who I am today, active and outgoing. Yes, absolutely. When I was a child, I had a lot of hobbies. I used to go swimming in the river near my house, and I climbed high trees in the garden. These hobbies, yes, absolutely. Because when I was a child, I had a lot of hobbies. I used to go swimming in the river near my house. I climbed high trees in the garden and went hiking on the mountain behind our village. These hobbies allowed me to become an active and outgoing person I am today. Yes, absolutely. Because when I was a child, I had a lot of hobbies. I used to go swimming in the river near my house. I climbed. Yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their old habit, as using petrol cards has been a tradition for most people in my country. So replacing them with electric cars will only result in a dilemma in which people may resist to change. However, the government should invest monies in reducing the price of making electric cars so that people can feel convenient to own an electric car. Yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their old habit. Um, yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their own habits of using petrol cards, as petrol cards has been a tradition for most people in my country. Replacing them with electric cards will only result in a difficult situation in which people may resist change. However, the government should invest money in reducing the price of electric cars so that everyone can own an electric car at ease. Yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their own habits uh, of using petrol. Yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their own habits of using petrol cards with new habits of using electric cars because they have been cultivating that habits for a long time, which has been rooted in their mind. Apart from that, the price for the electric cars are still high, preventing people from owning one. Finally, people may be in a dilemma in which they don't know where to get rid of the petrol cards, which they have bought for a really large money. Yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their own habits of using petrol cards with new. Yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their own habits of using petrol cards with new habits of using electric cards because they have been cultivating these habits for a long time, which have been rooted in their minds. Apart from that, the price of electric cars is still high, preventing people from owning one. Finally, people may be in a dilemma in which they don't know where to get rid of petrol cars, which they have bought with all of their fortune. Yes, absolutely. It is quite difficult for people to replace their own habits of using petrol cards with new habits.